This is the newsroom for today, Tuesday, August 13, 2019. We're broadcasting to you on E1 and SKAR TV in Georgetown and Tarzi TV in Partika. In headlines, an unemployed mother of 3 is in distress. Her husband was electrocuted by a faulty PV wire.
I got me to turn. I don't know where to do, what to do, where to go.
A man is accused of trailing his wife and calling her is charged with murder. People's President David Granger to set a date for final and regional elections.
We are out here asking the president to do his obligation according to the Constitution and call election now.
The 7-year-old Mon Repos East Coast Demerara burned victim on her first surgery at a hospital in the United States and sport Bennette and Campbell National Senior Bodybuilding Championship with chiselled physiques. The news I'm Afghanistan. Thanks for joining us. We start by telling you that a mother of 3 is now in distress and is contemplating her next move after a family fishing trip and tragically on Monday when her 34-year-old husband was electrocuted on the east bank of the Demerara. President reports.
The incident occurred at approximately 13 hours 30 at a private farm. The family usually goes to the fishing and book dead on the runway of Sarah Johan East Bank, Demerara. He was the father of 3 children aged 4 years old, 2 years old, and 11 months. The man's wife, 22-year-old Arrow Parna, is in a state of confusion and over the incident.
We were there on a fishing trip, and I was at the front where my and he was on a cast net. And I tell that man fish and give him back and let me go back at the bar. And he walk and he go at the back. And I go and go back and he run. And I fall down. So I don't know what he getting electrocuted. And I just see that he fall down and I pick my phone and I call my brother there. And my brother come and when he comes said that Orlando body's in quarantine, he gets shot.
Aaron said her brother syringed her apartment, removed the live wire using her slippers and vest, but it was too late. She said her husband was the sole breadwinner of the family and they lived in a rented house in Georgia, but now Aaron has to vacate the premises because she is unemployed and cannot afford the rent.
My husband, he was the only one who used to provide for me. I don't have a house on my own. So I got me treated. I don't know where to do, what to do, or where to go.
Aruna said her 4-year-old daughter will be starting nursery school next month and now she does not know how she will provide for her and the others. Aruna's mother, who used to assist her 2 months ago.
I just want help for my family as I can't work. My children don't stay well. I don't have to go anywhere. I stay home and look my children and I go somewhere. I can't look for work right now. My children have to take school things. Right? I'm not 2 months ago and I spend a lot of time for me. It's real hard.
Meanwhile, for the family, the owner of the farm that reported is asking for help for her and her children. Anyone willing to assist the family can contact 592-682-6868. Reporting from Newsroom, SNL Patwo.
In the courts now, a 48-year-old man before Chief Magistrate Anokan at the Georgetown Magistrates Court charged with the murder of 42-year-old Swift taxi driver Owen Lynch. Koyana Finance of Cemetery Road, Boca, was not required to plead to the capital offense, which alleged that he stabbed Lynch to death on August 6, 2019 at Cemetery Road, Boca. Finance, during questioning, allegedly admitted to detectives that he stabbed Lynch several times after Lynch attacked him with a shiny object at Cemetery Road during an argument over the taxi fare. The newsroom reported that the suspect told detectives that he walked away from the scene after Lynch collapsed on the road and was later informed that he died. The suspect on their way to Mocha from Sapphire, he paid the driver $2,000 agreed, but when they arrived in Mocha, Williams demanded more money, but he refused and exited the car. As he was walking towards his home, the suspect aimed at Lynch, attacked him, and retaliated with a knife which he had in his hands. Supporters of the People's Party on Tuesday continued their protest action under the Ministry of the President for elections and an end to the house registration exercise. Rika Toon reports.
On the front line, the protest action was former Minister of Agriculture Dr. Leslie Ramsamy, who migrated from the 2015 general and regional elections.
Elections are no longer overdue. And so we are out here asking the President to do his duty, his obligation according to the Constitution and call election now.
The party has been protesting the ministry, the President and the Guyanese Elections Commission over recent weeks, calling for the President and Cabinet to resign and for President David Granger to dissolve Parliament and to name a date for election. The party has also been calling for the ongoing house registration exercise to be discontinued since it will go beyond September 18th deadline for elections. This week's protest comes one day for the High Court to rule on the legality of the registration exercise. The party's mayor, Zulfikar Mustafa, said that he is optimistic about the ruling, but if it is not in the PPP's favor, a decision will be made on whether to deal the matter.
I'm very optimistic that the Chief Justice uphold our Constitution, uphold the laws of the country, and at the same time also uphold the order that the CJS need.
President Granger and opposition leader Barack met Friday last, where they discussed the PPP's position on matters relating to national elections. The engagement is expected to be continued, while the party's presidential candidate will maintain the protest is necessary.
This call is more necessary. It's another day in Guyana, and another day without elections, another day breach of the Constitution, another day against democracy, another day against the rule of law. So, as far as we're concerned, we have to be out here every single day until the government understands that they must adhere to the Constitution, they must adhere to the CJ orders, and elections must be called. The meeting between the President and the leader of the opposition has nothing to do with the President executing his responsibility.
The PPP supporters have also continued protest action until their demands are met. Baby Katun, report for the newsroom.
7-year-old burn victim Shania Prasad is now in a stable condition after she underwent surgeries to remove damaged tissues about her body at Children's Hospital in the United States. Israel Patwa reports.
Shania Prasad on Monday had her first fit treatment, which included the removal of all the damaged tissues across her entire body. Shania is being treated free of cost at the Shriners Hospital, Galveston, Texas, in the United States. The hospital is said to be one of the best children's medical facilities to treat burn victims. The Rotary Club of Demerara, in collaboration with a non-governmental organization for the State of Enhanced Emergency Aid, SKAR, successfully raised the necessary funds to evacuate the little girl. The total cost for evacuation is about US $42,000. Shania was medevaced from the Georgetown Public Hospital on Saturday, the airport where she boarded a charter flight to the U.S. Shania, in a social media post on Tuesday, said after arriving safely in the U.S., Shania spent the first day meeting her medical team to form a treatment plan. Meanwhile, President of the Rotary Club of Demerara, Hans Rad Singh, told the newsroom that Shania is still unconscious, but she is in a stable condition and doing better. Shania received second and third degree burns to approximately 97.8% of her body when her Mon Repos East Coast Demerara house went up in flames at around 1 hour on August 5th while she was asleep. Her older brothers, ages 13 and 9, ran out of the house and left her inside, while her mother was at a wedding house in the same community. Shania was hailed as brave by residents after she walked out of the burning house with her skin almost burned off and her feet bleeding with cuts. Reporting for Newsroom, Sinelo Pato.
News returns. A man who is accused of killing his wife and killing her lover is charged with murder, and young environmentalists to monitor safety of oil and gas sector. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. A 50-year-old farmer was accused of remanded to prison for murder after he allegedly killed his wife's lover with an arrow and bow. Monroe Lawrence of Carondanawa Village, South Rupununi, appeared before the Chief Magistrate Anne McLennan at the Georgetown Magistrates Court and was not required to plead a capital offence. It is alleged that between August 5 and 6, 2019, at Carondanawa Village, Lawrence murdered 32-year-old Pius Ernest. The court heard that Lawrence's wife shared an intimate relationship with Ernest, and on August 5, she went to meet him. It is alleged that Lawrence trailed his wife, hid in the bushes, and then shot Ernest in the upper part of his body with a bow and arrow. The court heard Lawrence escaped but was later arrested by the police. The Chief Magistrate remanded Lawrence to prison and transferred the matter to the Latham Magistrates Court for August 26, 2019. Monday's announcement of yet another major oil find offshore heightened preparations for this major sector, according to Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Gary Gavai. During an interview with the newsroom on Tuesday, the PSC chairman called on the political leaders to cooperate for the benefit of citizens. Vivi Katoon reports.
Director of the Department of Energy, Dr. Mark Bino, on Monday announced that UK-based company Tullow Oil has discovered oil in commercial quantities at the Jethro 1 exploration well drilled in the Orinduik block offshore Guyana. Prior to that discovery, only ExxonMobil had discovered commercial quantity of oil at 13 wells thus far. The announcement was welcomed by the Private Sector Commission. Chairman of the Commission, Gavai, in an invited comment, said the new oil find means more work for Guyanese.
Our efforts to orient Guyanese with what's before us. We have to double the amount of work we're doing. We have to, our teachers in schools, we have to orient our children, how to orient the children to deal with what's before us. Because we certainly will need a disciplined and educated population, but particularly what's before us right now in terms of our capacity.
He noted that local businesses also have to become compliant with international standards. At this juncture, he is calling on political leaders to work together for the benefit of the country.
It is more important than ever in the history of Guyana that our political leaders work together. Because if we keep being distracted by petty squabbles of what goes on in Guyana, people will come in Guyana and take advantage. While we are fighting each other, people will run away with the prize.
Captain Gavai lauded the establishment of the sovereign wealth fund, but said it needs to be operationalized. He also noted that local content policy needs to be in place to ensure sustainability of local development. The Jethro 1 well was drilled by the 10 of ship to a total depth of 4,400 meters in approximately 1,350 meters water. Dr. Bachchan said the Jethro 1 well is the first discovery on the Orinduik block, and it encountered 55 meters of oil, which reports a recoverable oil. With this new find, we will now evaluate the data from the Jethro 1 discovery and determine the appropriate activity. The Karapa 1 well will be drilled later this year on the adjacent license. Top BV operates the Orinduik block with a 60% stake. Total E&P Guyana BV holds 25% stake, while the remaining 50% is held by Atlantic Guyana Inc. B2 reporting for the newsroom.
As environmentalists from around the region gathered in Guyana for the 13th annual Caribbean Youth Environmental Summit, up on their agenda is ensuring that the oil and gas operations locally have a minimal effect on the environment. The summit being held by the Caribbean Youth Environment Network kicked off on Friday last at the Forestry Commission Multiplex, Water Street, Kingston, Georgetown. More from Nigel Collymore.
The Caribbean Youth Environment Network has been monitoring early developments in Guyana's oil and gas sector. The body, which is set up to help young environmentalists collaborate on related issues, has members in over 20 territories across the Caribbean. Speaking to the newsroom at the Guyana Forestry Commission's GSC Training Center in Kingston, Georgetown, local coordinator of Europe, Harry Jackson, said that the body plans to ensure the monitoring agencies in the sector are doing their jobs.
For us, we believe that emphasis should be placed on ensuring that everything as it relates to the conducting of the oil and gas business is done in an environmentally safe and friendly way. And so far, what we've noticed is that most international organizations and companies that have started this year have environmental policies, so that we can respect. But that is all in paper. So for us would be ensuring that these policies are actually implemented and work is actually being done in the commercial sector. As it relates to government, as an NGO, it's actually our duty to ensure that what the government is doing or what they say they're doing is actually done on the ground. So our position and role is to place emphasis on that.
Guyana, environmental issues are monitored by the Environmental Protection Agency, which is tasked with ensuring that companies adhere to the laws. Jackson went on to note the organization will also be pushing for the implementation of the SAZU agreement, a regional agreement on access to information, public participation, and justice in environmental matters in Latin America and the Caribbean. He stated that the mandate will be aligned to match those aims. Also present at the summit was the current CIE and Congress Chairman and Regional Steering Committee Chair Nixon Barry, who is representing St. Lucia at the summit. The summit began on Friday, August 9th and ended on August 13th. He explained that the Congress aims to develop plans to address environmental issues in the region.
CYN is a regional organization with head office based in Paris, and we have chapters across Caribbean, Latin America, including Haiti and Dominican Republic. So what happens is that these chapters, they do projects, they manage their membership, etc., etc. So when it comes to that, it's an important meeting. They report on the events that have happened for the past 2 years, to give us an insight as to what has happened, and we learn from each other in terms of taking the best practices from our sister and brother chapters across the region.
CYES started in 1993 and has been in Guyana since 2001. In Guyana, the group of persons ages 15 to 31 years old conducts international coastal cleanup every September and conducts activities in partnership with the Department of Environment and Environmental Protection. Nigel Collimer, Newsroom.
The Alliance for Change AFC and the Partnership for National Unity APNU are reviewing the Cummingsburg Accord, which was the platform for the APNU AFC coalition coming to government in 2015. Bibi Katoon.
The Alliance for Change, the smaller faction of the coalition government, on Monday announced that the Cummingsburg Accord, signed by the coalition parties on February 14, 2015, will be amended and finalized within 4 weeks. The accord is the historic agreement signed 3 months before the 2015 general and regional elections, at which the coalition was elected by the government. It has served as a guide to the coalition partners over the past 4 years. However, they have been concerned that the ANC did not get exactly what it bargained for. In fact, the ANC Canadian chapter has withdrawn its support from the party for several reasons, including this. A statement from the AFC late Monday noted that it recently met with coalition partner, Partnership for National Unity, and discussed a path forward before general and regional elections. According to the AFC, there is broad agreement between the two parties that the existing accord can be amended for the better alignment with the Constitution and can accommodate additional guiding principles that may previously have been omitted. Additionally, it was agreed by the parties that a revised accord will be more desirable than drafting a completely new accord at this stage. Both parties have nominated teams to further discuss the amendments to be made to the accord. The AFC, led by General Secretary David Patterson, and includes EC members Dominic Gaskin and Dr. Adams. The APNU team was led by their General Secretary Joseph Carman. The Cummingsburg Accord is valid for 5 years. Citizens can be asked to vote this year to elect the government of their choice as a result of a confidence motion passed against the APNU-AFC government on December 21st. In fact, it was former AFC member Sharon Dasposod who voted against its own government when the motion of confidence was tabled by opposition leader Bart Jagdeo and debated in the National Assembly. Some have argued that the party has lost some of its bargaining power as a result of no confidence vote. The AFC noted that review of the Cummingsburg Accord has engaged the party's full attention since 2017. The party had raised several concerns following the 2016 local government elections relating to the lack of sufficient seats on local democratic organs. In 2018, the AFC opted to contest local elections alone but not get as much votes. Reporting to the newsroom.
Muslims in Georgetown and across Guyana joined together in prayers and observance of Eid al-Adha, also known as Qurbani, on Monday. Eid al-Adha is celebrated worldwide every year to commemorate Prophet Ibrahim's obedience and sacrifices to Allah. The day is dedicated to kindness, sharing, and love to friends, families, and neighbors, and the poor and needy. The newsroom on Monday visited several mosques in Georgetown. Let's take a look.
Ibrahim sacrificed what he loved best for me. He did the love best. I love best my only son. I had to sacrifice his son, but was the test. So when we went to sacrifice his son, he told his son, "Son, Almighty God sent you to me. Do you want me to sacrifice? What do you say?" His son says, "Well, God, if I belong to God, I cannot say no. So sacrifice me." So when I sacrifice the son now, he put the son down and I'm about to cut his neck. Allah says, "Ibrahim, you have the mission ready." The night didn't come. So any we sacrifice animal, to remember this history, can fear history. Ibrahim's story. But at the same time, you cannot take the meat for yourself. Though your money, you can take the whole animal for yourself. Divide one sheep for one person, but a cow or elephant, what it is, you can't divide in 7 shares. And the 7 sheep divided in shares. One part for yourself, your friend and neighbors, one part for the poor people. So this is a union, whether you're Muslims or non-Muslims, you're unified.
Just ahead on the newsroom, financial and bridge reports along with headlines from the region and around the world. Stay tuned. Now, a room for headlines from the Caribbean and around the world.
Thank you, Avinash. We'll start off with news from the region. Hundreds of protesters have flooded the streets of Mexico City, demanding justice for two teenage girls who were allegedly raped by police officers. Around 300 protesters, mostly female, descended on the Mexican capital's prosecutor's office, the BBC reported. Armed with pink glitter and spray paint, they advanced on the building, smashing its door and leaving a pig's head outside. The protests were sparked by two recent rape cases. The first involves a 17-year-old girl who said four policemen raped her in their patrol car on August 3rd. The second concerns a 16-year-old girl who said a policeman raped her in a museum in the city center days later. Outraged by the alleged misconduct by police, the protesters chanted justice, and they don't protect us, they rape us as officers. During the protests, Security Minister Jesus Horta Martinez was covered in pink glitter when he attempted to assure the women both cases would be properly investigated. Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and political leader of the People's National Movement (PNM), Dr. Keith Rowley, has revoked the appointment of Marlene MacDonald as the deputy political leader of the party. Dr. Rowley made the announcement via his Facebook page. The Trinidadian Guardian reported MacDonald was one of four deputy political leaders of the PNM. She was removed as Minister of Public Administration on Monday, with the Office of the Prime Minister announcing that Dr. Rowley would take up the portfolio. The former minister was placed on bail to the sum of $2 million despite being unable to appear to answer fraud charges in the Port of Spain Magistrates Court Tuesday. Senior counsel Pamela Elder made an application for bail as MacDonald remains hospitalized at St. Clair Medical. MacDonald faces 7 charges related to fraud and money laundering while in public office. Internationally, prison guards have been suspended and a warden temporarily reassigned at the New York City jail where Jeffrey Epstein died of suspected suicide. It comes after the FBI opened an investigation into the death of Epstein, who was facing prosecution for sex trafficking when he was found dead. The BBC reported that the suspension, ordered by Attorney General William Barr, came a day after he criticized the jail's failure. The circumstance surrounding the financier's death has raised questions. It remains unclear why Epstein was taken off suicide watch after an attempted suicide last month. He also was supposed to have been checked on by a guard every 30 minutes. Hong Kong International Airport saw chaotic scenes on its second consecutive day of massive anti-government protests that have paralyzed one of Asia's key transport hubs. The BBC reported that squads of riot police arrived shortly before midnight after thousands of demonstrators again flooded the terminal buildings during the day. Flight departures were brought to a standstill amid scuffles. At least 3 men were mobbed inside the airport by protesters. They were said to be holding identity cards showing they were police officers from mainland China. Hong Kong police have admitted deploying officers disguised as anti-government protesters during the unrest in the city, the BBC reported. The airport, one of the world's busiest, has been the site of daily protests. Since Friday, it has become the latest focus of mass political unrest in Hong Kong that began 10 weeks ago and shows no signs of abating. The wider anti-government protests started in June in response to a proposed extradition bill, which has now been suspended. The Danish Prime Minister has officially said sorry to hundreds of victims of historical abuse in state-run homes. From 1945 to 1976, children were sexually abused, beaten, and drugged at the homes, an official inquiry found. According to BBC, the abuse took place across Denmark, and campaigners for years appealed to the state to accept it was at fault. The apology means everything. All we wanted was peace of mind, said one of the victims. The 68-year-old told the BBC how the lives of many of the children had been ruined by the abuse. Alcohol, drugs, multiple jobs, and failed marriages had all taken their toll. The Social Democrat Prime Minister met dozens of victims of the scandal at her official residence on Tuesday. According to the BBC, many were in tears as she said that children had been taken from their parents, and instead of getting support and warmth, they received humiliation and abuse. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Avinash.
Sport is on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. back to you for a look at what's happening in sport. We start off with some bodybuilding news. At 42, Marlon Bennett is the new Mr. Guyana, while Bennette and Campbell won his fourth men's physique title in 5 years. And Guyana Bodybuilding Fitness Federation hosted the senior national championships on Monday evening. Akim Green was.
Age indeed is just a number, as Bennett of 1953 won his first Guyana title after competing for 2 decades. Bennett won the Masters for 4 years and over, and lightweight categories qualified for the overall title pose-off, showcasing truly chiselled artwork of hard work and out of the gym. He bested crowd favourites Cipriani, who got second, and Carl Citizen third for the top prize. Even Harris and Leon Benjamin secured fourth and fifth. Here is part of the routine. Bennett is competitor number 5.
When I call me, I get a shot. I do the competition. Encourage all athletes to step the game up together. That is just number.
What do you think perhaps some of the young guys
well, actually, it's just possible. You can't be sports. You gotta train. You train and focus, you could do it. You tell yourself you can do it. No,
Bennett won the Masters ahead of Ron Luke and Donald Lindy. The other marvel of the night was Campbell, standing a relatively strong field to retain his title. The Space Gym athlete was adjudged the best ahead of fellow gym members Tariq the Kill, Yannick Grimes, and Benoit Fliss. Miss McKee went to Space Gym Suzanne Fong ahead of Angelica Singh. Other winners of the night included Cipriani in the light middleweight, Leo Benjamin in the welterweight, Carlos Peterson in the heavyweight, and Darren Harris in the bantamweight. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Cricket news: 5 matches into the series, in West Indies his victory against India, the only blip for the tourists being a rain-out opening ODI in Guyana last week. After sweeping the T20 series, they have taken the lead in what's effectively become a 2-match ODI series, and West Indies will end the limited over segment of series on a positive note tomorrow.
West Indies just wait for a first ODI series victory will continue even if they win tomorrow in Trinidad. Victory for West Indies would out the series now. First game washed out Guyana, while an India win would secure a 2-0 series success. Would go with the 3-0 sweep in T20s. West Indies were competitive in matches in the second ODI in Trinidad, bowling well at the back end of the innings, restrict India to 279 after they worked on waves to breach the 300 mark. Virat Kohli in 12th heat, sharply innings, knocking up his 52nd ODI ton. Despite early loss of Chris Gayle, West Indies won course for 1.794 before slipping to 1.82 for 8.
Lewis, who struggled with a calf injury during the chase, has recovered well and is set to start in the playing 11 on Wednesday. Fabian Allen is also fit and will most likely replace O'Shea House, who went wicket last league runs in his 4 overs on Sunday. With the series still on the side, India might once again field an unchanged 11. The weather is expected to be humid once again, with forecast clouds throughout the day. Although teams batting first have won 5 of the last 6 complete ODIs at the venue, the chance of rain might force the captain to bat second. The match will be played on the same pitch as the last one. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Meanwhile, the next head coach of the senior India men's team is expected to be chosen on Friday from a short list of 6. The incumbent, Tom Moody, Michael Phil Simmons, Lalchan Rajput, and Ram Singh. The BCCI's cricket advisory committee, head by Kapil, will convene in Mumbai to conduct interviews before making their decision. Simmons is seized a race from West Indies opener until June. The head coach of Afghanistan in the past, he's also had West Indies, with whom he won the title in 2016 and most notably Ireland. The Cricket Club will continue a decade-long tradition of hosting the annual cricket camp. While the camp has a main focus of nurturing young talents, the organizers hope that players can take advantage of life skills both on and off the field.
Some cricketers in the coming days got a school and stop of and start 2 weeks of cricket training. Former cricketer and club member Dr. Vincent Adams, who now heads the Environmental Protection Agency, outlined while cricket has a world of luxuries, always aim for a solid education.
So what you told to me, he said, listen, I know you tasted some pain. Everybody wants to be around you because you become famous. But he said you can figure out to you about the first part of life. And then that age of life when you have a liberty, everybody is going to be looking for the next this and that. But if you get an education, you can keep that with you for the rest of your life and you determine what your life will be. In addition to playing cricket, I study. So the one thing I like to implore you and the peers, athletics is not a fact that helps you academically. I can tell you that no question. This will be that teaches you.
From West Indies cricketer Rod Harper, who's also the president, said all about changing lives of possibly future West Indies stars.
With the sort of program that we have, we expect that we'll be sharing the life of another couple of better services. And as Dr. Adams said, we look forward to doing just that. We expect that you will pay attention and absorb all the information that is being passed on here during the next week. Last year we had 120 participants, and we got start here this morning, and I expect that numbers will grow and mushroom. So we're close to that 100 figure.
Mark Harper, Gavin Ned, Darian Best, Guide Butts, Travis Stowell, Rion King, and Kevin Ross will be the coaches along with Harper for the camp, which caters for age 7 to 17. Also open ceremony is to continue the partnership with Commander Vijay Chara, make a presentation to Roger Harper. The camp will conclude August 23rd and runs from Monday to Friday, 9 hours to 15 hours 30. Persons who want to be part of the camp can still register for the newsroom and green.
The lowest of all the teams are qualified for the Guest Grace of the Streets National Streetball Championship. Sparta Boss rose to the occasion and won their 4th national title at Durban Park in the hours of Sunday. Akim Green witnessed action and filed this report.
Since 2017, when the last one title, Sparta would have lost some solid footing in the second order, with the youthful teams nailing them in the matches. They showed off the rain and battle through, and it should mainly be 2-time East Coast Demerara champions 1-0, compliments of marquee player Richardson in the minute. The one only goal of the Riverton Party secured the championship prize of $500,000, while the second got half of that amount. In third place, playoff 2018 champions goals money had to settle for third United. You would Pedro secure the 8-minute goal and brother Michael Pedro in the 6-minute. They pocketed $1,000 and brothers $1,000. Semi-finals was where the drama occurred. The golden money got out of shock for Melanie B. The look from the end of the estimate, but East Coast United led via Seals in the 19th and Odd Gulliver in the 26th. Likewise, Stockwater live a nice edge against West Demerara Brothers United. They edged 2-1 with Joanne Hack scoring in the 4th before Richards came up with Bennett in the 5th after Andrew Murray equalized in the 18th. The national championship was contested over 2 days activities, which came in from zones Georgetown, West Lane, East Coast Demerara, Arthur, and West Demerara Bank Demerara, competing on a straight basis. Colors will joined Bangladesh Limited as co-sponsor of the event.
And finally, some cycling news. The Junior Caribbean Cycling Championship concluded at the weekend in Bartica with foreign riders dominating the podium. Home team Ghana failed to medal at the two-day event. On Sunday, Trinidad and Tobago's Enrique Corcoran won junior road race to match his success in time trial the previous day. Completing 52.2 miles of event, Commodon was timed at 2 hours 30 minutes 22 seconds, followed by Kiana Noel of St. Martin and Nicholas Narway of Bermuda. In the juvenile race earlier in the day, Rex Saraga of Puerto Rico emerged winner of the 36-mile showdown, clocking 1 hour 48 minutes 34 seconds. Alexander Miller, who got gold in time trial, took silver, followed by Mike Zonbuan of U.S. Virgin Islands with a time of 1 hour 48 minutes 36 seconds. In the junior time trial on Saturday, Cameron was fastest, finishing ahead of Norway and Rennie Garral of Antigua and Barbuda, while in the juvenile side, Miller took gold, leaving Oscar and Liam Fadney of Bermuda to set the first silver and bronze. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, or our Facebook page, Newsroom Guyana. On behalf of the entire team here, I'm Ahana Shramzan. Thanks for watching. See you back here tomorrow.